On today's show, we celebrate the duck hunting opener at a place called Mill Pond, a storied duck camp where new members forever pay homage.
A lot of good friends.
Fall colors warm hearts here in the Midwest, and we chase pheasants in Ron Schara's home state, a place where the birds are on the comeback.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hey everybody, Laura and I welcome you to Minnesota Bound.
We get so excited for opening day of fall hunting seasons. I think it's safe to say that duck hunters are a special breed.
Yeah, duck hunting traditions run deep in this state. Maybe nowhere more so than a place called the Mill Pond.
With the sun out, and the water and the blue sky, it's just a beautiful spot.
It is in human nature to just feel comfortable here.
It's somewhat of a, like coming home. This is where you belong. So it has that sort of a feeling for me.
Learned a lot more here than I did at school when I was younger. It means everything to me. This camp is special for many reasons. I mean, one, look at the background here and how quiet it is.
It's a great spot to come to for duck hunting. It's a spot you can also, as you can see, we do some deer hunting here.
Most importantly, it's a spot for people. The Mill Pond story starts with a group of duck hunters. Back in the 1950s, members purchased hunting rights to the property. After that, they got right to work.
The cabin was put up, and I think it was in the late 50s.
I've been coming with my grandfather since I was 9, and now I've been fortunate enough to bring my son too, and it's a family thing for sure, something you never forget.
Founding members created the Le Pond de Tir Partnership. Even now, members vow to protect and share the camp with their families.
I think my grandfather's been coming up since early 70s. Some of the other guys back into the 60s.
Pheasant.
To still have it around, I think it's real rare.
To better understand Mill Pond's real legacy is to wander out towards the duck blind.
When my father was dying, he told me, he said, after I die, I want you to bring some of my ashes up to the mill pond.
Nick Nichols, Larry Griffith, Pat Mulligan, Jim Bates, each buried here in the very camp they coveted.
See, this is Tim.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they're still here. They're here through everyone's stories. They're here through the memories. They're here in spirit.
Yeah, we think about them when we come up here. I mean, it's a reminder, and you remember the times, the times that you had, and the conversations.
Exactly why Barry Griffith still comes to camp.
This is where I got to know my dad. I miss my dad immensely. Certainly sitting here. Daily bag limit could be 0, and we'd still come.
Glenn Morrison holds Mill Pond's highest honor, senior member at 91 years old.
Here's a picture. It's in 79.
Yep.
We got a lot of birds, and I'm a young man. Good fellowship and good hunting, and I tried to teach everybody how to call ducks.
Glenn's current roles and responsibilities? Guiding his great-grandson.
Grandpa's really the one that got me into it when I was young, and it has become a lifestyle for me.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, cheers. To a lot of good friends, good memories, and some hunting.
Exactly what these guys dreamed up long ago. A duck camp where eternal outdoor traditions never end.
My hope for the camp is to continue this passing on the membership. Oh yeah, I have already decided I will be having a rock over there.
Coming up, we celebrate the bright colors and the pungent aroma of crisp autumn days. We explore this fall phenomenon next.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers, Rapala Ice Force, Star Bank, and by Pearson Salted Nut Rolls.
Up next, a walk in the woods of sorts, explained by Ron Schara.
And now, nature brings us the glory of autumn leaves, and later, the not-so-pretty bare-naked trees. So, let's enjoy this while we can. Those changing leaves, those warming colors inspire us in so many ways. Romantic songs, those leaves of red and gold, like your lips and summer kisses. Of course. And poems too. Poet Patricia Cisco wrote, "Sing to me, autumn, with the rustle of your leaves. Breathe on me your spicy scents that flow within your breeze." Ah, gosh, bring it on, autumn. But how?
They change by going from green to yellow or red. but how that happens?
I think it's just a biologic process because of the weather.
During the fall, there's less sunlight for them to absorb.
Something to do with chlorophyll in the leaves?
That's the way I understood it, but
I don't know.
Truth is, those showy yellows and reds we see in autumn leaves were there all summer long, but covered up by the green chlorophyll. However, as the days grew shorter and cooler, the chlorophyll fades away and presto, we have fall colors. Interestingly, not all trees turn yellow or red or both. White oak leaves turn red. Popple goes yellow, and other trees show off a little of each. Let's not forget that some trees keep their green the year round. That's why we call them evergreens, with one exception, the tamarack tree. Its green needles add to autumn splendor by turning into brilliant yellow needles. And then they fall, needles and leaves. It's over and done. Beautiful leaves, beautiful needles, never to be revered again. Now we stare at bare naked limbs. This means winter, of course. Gosh, we try to make snow and cold a romantic idea, but it's not easy. Outside it's frightful, the fireplace is delightful. Hold me tight, let it snow, let it snow. Bah, humbug. Give me those autumn leaves.
Still ahead, we cross the border into Iowa to experience the perfect fall hunt. And later, a walk in the park at Tettigouche State Park.
Closed captioning on Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut.
Up next, my dad heads south to his home state of Iowa to rediscover what he's been missing. Fall in Iowa's birdie pheasant fields.
Arthur Thomas Wolfe once wrote, "You can't go home again." He meant home, once you leave, will never be the same. Yet we try anyway, right? This explains why I'm back in Iowa with a shotgun.
Yeah, this is Desi.
That's Matt Dollison, a wildlife biologist for Iowa's DNR. And that's Jake Holt. He's a farm bill biologist for Pheasants Forever in this part of Iowa. The goal today is to find quail, or whatever flies, in a public hunting area in the state's southwest area managed by Iowa DNR. What's going on here? Great cover, no quail. Not yet anyway. Were we hunting wrong or simply bad timing? Good question. If you're looking for wildlife success stories and a drastic failure or two, this is the place, the state of Iowa. A place to grow, and I should know. I grew up in the northeastern corner of Iowa near the Mississippi River, limestone bluffs, and trout streams. White-tailed deer were roaming the land a half-century ago, but not as abundant as today. Iowa-rich earth may also produce other abundant wildlife. When I was a boy, the dawn gobble of a wild turkey in Iowa's woodlands was never heard. Today, Iowa is a turkey hunter's dream, and the gobblers are, well, you guessed it, big boys. As for ringneck pheasants, no one knows for sure when the birds first appeared in Iowa. Most likely it happened in the early 1900s. The first hunting season was held in 1925. When Iowa had abundant grassland, pheasant hunters killed more than 1 million birds a year for 33 years, starting in 1962. Roughly 20 years ago, however, Iowa's wheel of ringneck fortune started to come off. In 2 decades, Iowa lost 1.6 million acres of grass habitat due to intensive corn production for ethanol. After harvesting 1 million birds in 2003, the pheasant take plunged down to less than 109,000 birds a mere 8 years later. Out-of-state hunters that once numbered 50,000 in a season dwindled down to roughly 8,800 by 2010. Today, Iowa's ringneck outlook is a shade brighter. The 2018 Iowa Pheasant Survey was the highest in 10 years, and the predicted harvest was more like 250,000 birds.
If we want to have wildlife, an abundance of wildlife, we're gonna have to get it done on private land.
A new program called Voluntary Public Access Grants provides money to develop pheasant cover on unprofitable cropland and pay landowners to allow hunter access.
The landowner signs up, and then we start working with them to make sure what gets planted, how it gets planted, to ensure that it's successful.
It sounds like a wonderful deal. Have you moved the needle?
I guess it depends on what you mean, move the needle. So we have 23,000 acres open to the public. So in that retrospect, yes.
The formula for ringneck success is as grassland acres go up, so do pheasant counts.
Hen! Rooster! Sorry, Trent. I didn't let that one get to you. Bring him here. Fetch him up. He's right there. There he is. Yep. Is that what we've been looking for, old dog? So we got some work to do. There's some challenges, but with challenges, there's always successes. So it just makes the successes that much more enjoyable. Rooster! Hen!
So, is there any hope for a bird hunter in Iowa? The answer is, of course. Today, hope is growing as tall as Iowa's corn.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by your local carrier dealer, Radco Truck Accessories, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
As a kid, I used to camp at a state park called Tetagooch, or as some people like to call it, Tetaguchi.
This Lake Superior Park rose from one of the state's oldest logging camps.
Tedagoo State Park is a very rugged landscape, and it extends from the lakeshore to the far inland. Hiking trails involve a lot of ups and downs, but with that extra work, you're rewarded with views of large vistas and the waterfalls.
It's the biggest park on the shoreline of over 9,000 acres, and there's plenty of room for everybody here.
Tedagoo State Park is located about an hour and a half up the North Shore from Duluth and is located about 5 miles from Silver Bay. The park was formed as sort of a response to the preservation of Tedagoo's camp. With the acquisition of that land, they built the park by acquiring lands around it. It was a great place to retreat to. The 1.7-mile hike into Tedagoo's camp will get you away from all the activity in the rest of the area. You're away from the hustle and bustle of the world. There's no cars allowed in there. Guests at the park can rent out the cabins. Activities on the lake, you can go canoeing, fishing in the lake, swimming in the lake. It's a nice spot to relax. There's a lot to do in the park. We have 23 miles of trails. There are 4 waterfalls within the park with trails that go to them. Behind me are the high falls. They're the highest falls within the state boundaries at 64 feet. They come crashing down through rhyolite bedrock that was formed 1.1 billion years ago. This is a very popular spot for people to come to the falls to take the hike here. Just because it's such a dramatic place. The hike up to baptism is about 3 miles round trip. Just below that are two-step falls, which is kind of a cascade of 2 steps. We're here at the park in the fall. The maple leaves are peak color, and the birches and aspens are on their way. One of our popular trails at the park is Shovel Point. Along the way, you get great views of the lake. You're going to be on the tops of very high cliffs, great photography, and you may see the peregrine falcons soaring overhead as well.
It's fun to just come up here and just sit and watch. I find it relaxing. It's just beautiful. It inspires you to want to be a better photographer. I wish more people would come up and experience it.
Down on the lake shore itself, there's a lot of rock climbing. This is one of the most popular rock climbing areas in the upper Midwest. It's a worldwide destination for folks to come and rock climb.
Climbing here at Tedagoo is the best in Minnesota, in my opinion. I've been to all 4 corners of the state. Shoreline climbs here are unsurpassed. Definitely the cliffs are very challenging. The cliffs that we climb on here are anywhere from 100 feet to 220 feet. This is no place for beginners. Rock climbing for me is, I call it vertical chess. It's simple. You make the moves, you connect several moves together, and then you're back to the top.
The whole park is beautiful. There's so many different areas that you can go to and hike to.
One of the things I really love about working at this park is just kind of the world-class destination that it is. We've got the landscape and topography and the wilds here that just aren't really available to people anymore. Just a great place to get out and reconnect.
You know, it's funny, traditions live on. I still take the boys up there with Katie every fall.
Oh, it's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Yes.
Be sure to send us your favorite state park story ideas on our Minnesota Bound Facebook page.
Until next week, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors, right?
That's right.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.